Hey, what's up guys? Sorry that I have been missing for almost 2 weeks and that I haven't posted anything on my thoughts on episode 4 or 5 of the Last of US HBO show, because as some of you guys may know if you guys follow me on Twitter, and that's why it's important that you guys follow me on Twitter at APNerds, and it's because I posted quick tweets announcing that my wife gave birth to our second child and I had to take a break from YouTube and social media to take care of my wife and kids. I appreciate all the lovely messages on Twitter about the birth of our second child. It honestly means the world to me, but now that everything is all good, let's talk about the Last of Us HBO show. And because I didn't give my thoughts on episode 4 and 5, let me give you guys my quick thoughts on those two episodes right now before I give you guys my thoughts on episode 6. So episode 4 for me was okay. It wasn't the best episode. It could have been better in my opinion. I liked how they took their time with developing Ellie's and Joel's relationship in this show, showing their relationship grow even to the point where Joel's grumpy ass laughed at Ellie's diarrhea joke, and after him being so distant and cold towards her for like 3 episodes straight at this point. But the things that I didn't like about this episode was basically how they showcased the hunters in this episode. I wish that they were ruthless and as savage as like in the video games, which for me added a layer of suspense and showcased how cruel the world of The Last of Us truly was in the video games. But I did not get that sense in this episode. Also, Kathleen as the leader of the hunters in this episode honestly did not convince me that much. Although in episode 5 they did a good job in explaining why she became the leader and it was way more believable, but that is something that I believe that should have been in this episode instead. And even though I had some issues with this episode, I still think episode 4 was very enjoyable to watch, but it's still my least favorite episode of the whole show so far. Now episode 5 on the other hand, that in my opinion was literally, and I'm not even joking or faking this, it was literally the perfect episode of The Last of Us. Honestly, it encapsulated everything that made The Last of Us so special in my opinion. Sam and Henry's story in this show and their relationship was perfect. The way Joel, Ellie, Sam, and Henry interacted with each other and their chemistry was perfect. The hunters finally seemed a little bit more intimidating and were better than in episode 4. The action set pieces were absolutely fantastic and the best in the whole show. The horde of infected, the hunters fighting them, Henry and Sam and Ellie trying to survive the horde and the hunters as well was just so well done. The bloater, oh, the bloater, creating chaos in every sense of the word, was absolutely perfection, and they actually nailed it. The way Sam and Henry's death was executed in this episode was probably even more sad and impactful than in the game in my opinion, and because of the relationship that was built between these four in this episode was just absolutely perfect, and I honestly cried when they both died. It was done to perfection. This episode fully showcased what made the original The Last of Us so special. And after this perfect episode, it leads us to episode 6, which for me is the most beautiful episode of the whole show for now. Seeing the wall Joel built towards Ellie breaking down was beautiful to see. To see Joel and Ellie more comfortable with each other, Ellie being more of a kid and goofy around Joel just like in the video game, was well done. Jackson was exactly like in part 2 and the environment stayed consistent to the original games. When it comes to the quality of the TV show, it's staying consistent and I'm really enjoying it. Maria as well was very well written and was given scenes to give extra context to the events of the game, which was a nice touch. Gabriel Luna as Tommy once again was absolutely perfect and is still my favorite side character in this show. I honestly cannot wait to see more of Gabriel Luna's Tommy in season 2, and I hope HBO gives us more of Uncle Tommy. He is the fucking goat. And we even got a little possible cameo of Dina when Ellie was rude to this girl in a distance while she was eating, and honestly, if this girl isn't Dina when she looks exactly like Dina in the video games, then Neil Cuckman honestly is just trolling us at this point. I fucking swear. I know this is Dina. Nobody can convince me otherwise. Honestly, the full section of this game was basically episode 6 and they just executed it very well, and that was honestly one of my biggest concerns of this episode, that they were just not going to pace well the events of the fall section, and they did a very good job in my opinion. They did it justice. Now, the thing I liked the most about this episode was just how HBO decided to show a more emotional side of Joel's character compared to the video games in almost every sense of the word. In the games, the only times we see Joel being emotional or close to being emotional was basically when Sarah died, when Ellie broke the walls between them in the ranch scene, when Ellie kills David and Joel hugs her, and basically when Joel saves Ellie from the Fireflies at the end of the game. The only time we actually see him break down and cry in the game was when Sarah died. died. So seeing Joel in episode 6 get to the point where he is shown like he's losing his breath in the beginning of the episode, and once again in Jackson when he sees a girl that reminds him of his daughter Sarah, shows just how this man has been suffering all this time, and he's been pushing his emotions down for all these years for what happened to his daughter Sarah. He's blaming himself for her death and he can't get away from it. It's the reason why he mumbles in his sleep and can't have any peace. And by watching over Ellie and unintentionally building a relationship with Ellie, he's getting to the point where he can't take it anymore, as he feels that the more he is closer to Ellie, the more he cares for Ellie, the more chance there is that he could possibly lose her the same way he lost Sarah and Tess. This episode shows to perfection why Joel has been so distant and cold towards Ellie all this time, and even Ellie finds out via Maria why Joel is the way he is. He's afraid, and rightfully so. He's a man that had to endure so much in order to survive, and if he is to lose another person he cares for like the way he cared for Sarah and Tess, then this just may destroy him forever. That is why I appreciate him getting to the point of even tearing up when he is confessing his feelings to Tommy while he tells her that he can't take care of Ellie anymore and why he needs to leave her with Tommy so he can go on his way. He doesn't want to keep getting close to Ellie only to possibly lose her as well. This change compared to the video games in showcasing a more emotional side to Joel is honestly, in my opinion, one of the best decisions that HBO has done for the Last of Us HBO show, in my opinion. And because this show explores a more deeper side to Joel's character, I feel like that's why the ranch scene in Ellie's room works so well in this show. Without it, I feel like it just wouldn't hit as hard, and seeing Ellie pouring her heart to Joel in tears basically because she is fearful of Joel leaving her truly shocked me to my core. And even though I have seen this scene over 1,000 times in the video game, and even though I also prefer the ranch scene in the video game, I feel like HBO did a fantastic job in capturing this iconic scene and made me feel things just like I felt in the video game. Because of all of this, it feels extremely believable that Joel would become more open and caring towards Ellie after they have that discussion, and instead of leaving her with Tommy, he takes the decision to go and take Ellie himself to the University of Eastern Colorado, and that's where he starts to completely become that father figure for Ellie, and intentionally this time starts to bond with her. He starts to teach her how to shoot a rifle and how to survive. He starts to be more open with her about himself, and you can see the wall he built towards Ellie is now fully gone. And that is why when Joel faints after being impaled by one of the bandits he kills in the university, we see Ellie desperate to have Joel wake up and tells him that she can't do this without him. It hits deep because of all the time this show took to build their relationship in this cruel world, and as a fan of this franchise, I am beyond happy HBO truly captured the essence of what made the original The Last of Us such a memorable masterpiece. So far, this show has done a very good job, and I cannot wait to see the Left Behind episode, which may also be one of the most emotional episodes of this show. Now, if there are things that I have to critique about episode 6, which is honestly, not that much, the things I have to critique is just the unnecessary change of the soundtrack in the ranch scene. For me, because I'm so used to the game version, because of the soundtrack change, it just did not hit as hard as when I watched this scene in the game. Also, I wish the action was just better in this episode, and honestly the whole show, because the fight versus David's gang in the university was just not that good, and it wasn't as intense as it should have been. And because of this, I have to drop a few points from episode 6 to a 9.5 out of 10. Apart from, these little nitpicks that I have, great episode in my opinion, and one of my favorite episodes so far. Let me know your thoughts on episode 6 in the comment section down below. Remember to subscribe to the channel and to like this video, as it helps the channel a lot. Endure and survive, my friends, and I'll see you guys next time.